Families at Charlotte Catholic High School are raising concerns tonight after they say a priest asked their children inappropriate questions during confession late last year.
WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is in studio now working on this story. You have been at it for weeks here, Jesse. You spoke with 3 different families, 2 of them on camera who say their children were involved. What did they tell you?
Well, these parents asked to remain anonymous to protect their children, but they say the questions their children say they were asked during confession were of sexual nature and say left their children alarmed. Now, the Diocese of Charlotte says they looked into the matter and ultimately found no wrongdoing.
It's so difficult when you're dealing with the Catholic Church because we're talking about a centuries-old institution that has a very specific hierarchy.
A sacred ritual at Charlotte Catholic High School under scrutiny.
It's not about an indictment of the Catholic Church. It's about, protecting our children.
Parents say in December, a priest's questions to students during confession crossed the line.
He asked her if she masturbates.
Their daughter was not alone.
He asked my daughter if she's ever had a sexual relationship with a boy.
Both parents say the questions were unprompted.
She said, "Mom, I was telling him about missing Mass and, lying to you and fighting with my brother. We were not talking about anything sexual at all. He just asked me that."
They took their concerns to school leaders in the Diocese of Charlotte. The bishop responded with a letter saying the matter was taken seriously, but since a priest can't talk about what is said during confession, it limits what information he can learn. The bishop added that sometimes people come to confession without fully preparing or reflecting on their actions. He says in those cases, a priest may offer general age-appropriate examples of common sins to guide the conversation. For these families, the response fell short, leaving them more frustrated.
The whole letter felt a little bit like we were being gaslighted.
Did not address any of the other issues whatsoever, and I felt very dismissed. I was very upset.
In a statement, the Diocese of Charlotte tells us it investigated the complaints and found the priest did not violate its policy of conduct, saying in part, quote, "A variety of topics come up during confession, and according to church norms, a priest may ask clarifying questions and, if necessary, assist the penitent to make a complete confession." According to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, teens are often encouraged to go through what's known as an examination of conscience before confession to help them reflect on their behavior, relationships, and even sensitive topics like sexuality and morality. The goal is to help them speak openly so a priest can offer meaningful guidance. But for these families, they say the explanation isn't good enough and they want these incidents investigated further.
There are several kids involved that are allowed to talk about what happened, and there can be an investigation that does not interfere with those canon laws.
This is that I'll fight for my daughter. I'm not worried about her at all. I will make sure that she is safe. What I'm concerned about right now is a little girl who doesn't have the strength or a strong mother to fight for.
They say they want to see change.
This is a school. The school and this man are flawed. And quite frankly, so is the bishop if he doesn't act properly.
Now, we chose not to name the priest because there's been no allegations of any criminal activity and law enforcement has not been involved. Now, because of the sanctity of the sacrament of confession, we are not able to hear from the priest about what was said during confession. Now, the church leaders stress that those conversations are protected and strictly confidential. They say they have provided mentoring and reminded the clergy about the importance of sensitivity.
Now, Jesse, does the school tell parents these types of questions could come up during a confession?
So the answer to that is no. I got a response from a spokesperson for the diocese just a few hours ago, and she says the examination of conscience is just an example of what Catholics could use to prepare for confession. The spokesperson said that while confession is voluntary, there are no plans for the schools to present any specific examination of conscience, and their resources are made available through parishes, online, at confessionals, and through other Catholic resources. And the best practice is for parents and youth to review these materials together, making room for important conversations.
All right, Jesse, thank you for looking into this.
Absolutely.
All right.